All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Racine County Board for Tuesday, September 23rd. Welcome everyone who's here in the chambers and who is virtual and online. As customary with this body, we'll start off with roll call, and Liz will note the roll.
Supervisor Nielsen, Chairman Kramer are excused. Supervisor Varanth just came in and we'll watch for Supervisor Coleman.
All right, my name is Scott Meyer. I'm the Vice Chair for the Racine County Board, and I'll be facilitating tonight's meeting. So as customary with this body, we'll start with an opening prayer led by Supervisor Trottier.
Good evening. This is a prayer for all who serve. As we serve others, we are working on ourselves. Every act, every word, and every gesture of genuine compassion naturally nourishes our own hearts as well. It is not a question of who is healed first. When we attend to ourselves with compassion and mercy, more healing is made available to others. And when we serve others with an open and generous heart, great healing comes to us.
And now the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. If you will all bear with me just for a moment, we're going to go off script here just for a minute or two. We have a special guest here this evening with us, Lieutenant Colonel Del Helverson, retired from the ESGR Corporation. And that's a division of the Department of Defense. And he has a couple things he'd like to address us with tonight. And he has a couple of guests with him as well. Mr. Helverson?
Thank you, sir. And I know you're recording this, and I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm a loudspeaker. I hope I don't wreck anything. So my name is Del Halverson, and I am your local ESGR, Employers Support of the Guard and Reserve representative. We are a Department of Defense office, and my office is at 4 Mile Road and Highway H. On each of your desks there should be my card. The bottom right-hand side of the card is our website. And the bottom left-hand side of my card, I think, is my email address and my phone numbers on there and whatever. I had the privilege of addressing this organization 10 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. And I know you have some new members, so I'll give you a little bit of the commercial. ESGR was formed as an agency to deal in that gray zone, that area in between an employer and their citizen soldier. And let me say at this time, I say citizen soldier, that represents all branches. It's just easier to say citizen soldier. So that's what our mission is. And we have 3 branches. One branch is a military outreach. I serve in that role. Annually, I brief military students or military personnel on their rights and obligations under a law called USERRA. USERRA was established in 1992, and it controls the relationship between an employer and his employee. It defines what the employer's obligations are and what his entitlements are from the citizen soldier. It also tells the citizen soldier what their rights are from their employer and also what their obligation is to their employer. That's what we do. And if an employer has an issue, you call me. If I don't have the answer, I'll get the answer. If I can't get the answer, we'll bring the guy in who can. We have a 3rd department called the Ombudsman Department. Those guys are mostly attorneys. And let me step back a second. We are a purely volunteer organization. Most of us are prior service, some are not. In fact, our state chair is not a prior service guy, and he's doing an excellent job. We have offices in all 50 states, and we have offices in all territories of the United States. I'm not going to go real deep. Other people are here to talk. I have a very important mission here tonight. And I'm here really at the bequest of Specialist Kiara Wilson. Kiara is 21 years old. She joined the National Guard between her junior and senior year in high school. She has a partner and a family and a child. And in 4 years that she's been in the service, in the first year, you can pretty much throw away. That's when they teach you you're a soldier and here's what it's all about. After that, you get into your military occupational specialty. That is, what are you going to do? What's your job? So in 4 years, she's a qualified, fully qualified MP. And she is, in fact, a fully qualified 13 Mike. No, I don't know what that is. That's a cannoneer. And the division of the cannoneers are rocketeers. And she is, in fact, part of a team of HIMAR, high speed. All right, you know what a HIMAR is. You don't know the acronym, and I can't hardly say it. On TV, you've seen the military truck pull up, a pod turns, and 6 rockets are gone, and the truck disappears. That's her. Okay. She is part of the 3-person team that rearms that vehicle. They take the expend pod off, put a new pod on, move and shoot. A HIMAR rocket has a range of about 300 kilometers, 200 miles, and is a guided rocket, and it's tremendously accurate, and it's premier rocketry in the world. That's what she does. Something else you don't know about her is she excels at her civilian job. She's one of your 911 operators. In fact, we got a call from her at 3 this afternoon. Can't make it. Oh, my heart's going. She said, I've got to have the duty tonight. Someone called in sick. Well, I called and talked to Jackie and Jody, and some miracles were worked, and here we are. Another thing you don't know about her is in November. So you have annual training. That's when you go and train in your specialty. And then you have deployments. That's not training, that's mission oriented. Okay? The mission of the United States military is to protect the United States. Simplest statement. That's broader than that, but that's what it is. And she has received orders where she's going to be deployed in November for a year. And she can't tell you, neither can I. It's classified at a need-to-know basis. But she is going into harm's way. So, a little choked on that. But anyway, the bottom line is, with all those things that she does, how does she keep that all together? A family, 2 very specific MOSs in the military. Her job is a 911 operator. And by the way, they go to school too. So they just don't take 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks of summer camp or annual training. They have other requirements during the year. That takes family time away. And it also can be a big crunch for her with her employment. So we all know you can comply with the law right up to that far and be a horse's bejeebie and make it as impossible as you can for someone, but still be legal. And then there are the other people who understand her job, her mission, and comply and help as the best way they can within the scope of their responsibilities as an employer. So that's why I'm really here tonight. Would Jackie and Jody join me, please? Come on up. Okay. So these are the two girls that worked the magic so she could be here. And I want you over here. You're right, you're in trouble.
Okay.
Just stand on the other side.
Never heard that before.
Okay, never heard that before. So in our bag of tricks, in these different divisions, I was as simplistic as I could on it, and in the sake of time. And the employer division, we have awards for those people who support their military personnel as best they can. And Kiara happens to think, I'm sorry, Specialist Wilson happens to think these two people are pretty good. So she's nominated them for the Patriot Award. You figured it out, didn't you?
Come on to you, Del.
All right, I'm in trouble. So this is a Patriot Award. I'm thinking of the movies, right? So the general, the officer, someone pins someone with something. It may be a promotion or it may be an award, but there's always a certificate that goes with it. So this is the part that's worn on the uniform. And at this point, well, Specialist Wilson makes a mess out of Jackie's sweater or wherever she's going to put it, because it is a real pin. This is a citation. United States Office of the Secretary of Defense, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve recognizes Jacqueline Bratz, Racine County Communications Department as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve offices, signed by the Executive Director and the National Chair. Present that to her. She's doing that. Sure I get the right one here. Yep, got it. These are letters of congratulation and recognition from our national chair and our state chair. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, we're not done. There's two of them. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yeah. They package these things so good. I gotta have a kid open them for me, honestly. I don't know that you can even see this, but it shows off very good on the lapel. And if I didn't say it, this is crossed flags, US flags. There's a bar across the bottom that says Patriot. The only people who have a pin like that have been awarded the Patriot Award. So if you would go ruin Jody's outfit for me. And while it says the same thing, it's only appropriate I read the whole thing. Office of Secretary of Defense, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve recognizes Jody Howell, Racine County Communications Department, as a patriotic employer for contributing to the national safety and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employer participation in America's National Guard and Reserve forces, signed our Executive Director and our National Chair. She as well receives letters of recognition and congratulations from our national chair and our state chair. I'll get the acetate here in a second. They didn't know about it, but they put it together. Because when she called me and said, I can't be there, what am I gonna do? I call up and tell her something's happening important tonight, and you gotta be there. So they're intelligent enough, I think, to figure it out, but they also have earned it. I've always enjoyed the surprise. I've done this in front of as many 200 people. And at a trucking company, one gentleman in the back, I make it longer, but I'm trying to be considerate. One gentleman in the back realized it was him. There were 80 people in a room. What? Guy was about 60 years old. It's wonderful. So, love it. I love it. So that being said, Racine County and the Department of Communications has signed statements of support for the Guard and Reserve in the past. The state, this is just an acknowledgement. You cannot sign out of contract around anything as it pertains to you, sir. That's the federal law. But this shows where their heart is. So here you go.
Thank you so much. We just want to say how proud we are of Kiara. She truly does work very, very hard, obviously at the young age that she is at, and with a little one and her monthly drills and all of the trainings that she goes to, she still comes to work all the time, every day, on time, working hard. So we're just extremely proud of her.
So that being said, I would say to the audience, I have an extra card in my pocket if you feel you want one. I service Racine County, not just Racine County Board. So that being said, subject to your questions.
Any
This will conclude.
questions for Lieutenant Colonel Halverson?
Sir? What was the question?
I just asked if there's any questions, Lieutenant.
Oh, okay. Not even about my ponytail? Come on. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Del.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, thank you for allowing me to go off script there for a few minutes. I think it was well deserved and exciting. So thank you very much. Item number 4, back on our agenda, is public comment period. Public comments pursuant to section 2-71 of the Racine County Code of Ordinances. Each speaker shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes, and Supervisor Trotter here will time the speakers. And as far as signed up speakers, the first one we have is Mario Mentes. If you please come forward and say your name and address. Martinez. And again, I apologize if I make a inappropriate pronouncing of a name.
All right. No problem. Mario Martinez. I'm a longtime business owner, 40 years plus here in Racine. And I'm just making an announcement about a town hall meeting this coming week, October 1st. It's being put on by Racine Interfaith Coalition and Mr. Eric Hopkins. Appreciate that very much. You know, I've been lucky and thankful enough to have the kind of clientele that I have for so many years. And I had an opportunity to just ask some folks like whether they're familiar with the budget, the Racine County budget, being that it's one of the largest, whether they have some idea of how monies are allocated or anything to do with the budget itself, or if they're familiar or pay any attention to it. And I can tell you honestly that nobody does. Well, at least none of the clientele that I've had an opportunity to speak to. So we're giving this opportunity for folks to come in and partake in And some of this information, it's just basically data that we would like to share with folks. We would love for all of you to attend and add a little something to what folks may be asking. That would be our hopes, that we would be able to get some support. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Next up, Mike Frontier. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Good evening again. Thanks for serving. I'm here to talk briefly about the budget. We realize a very complex document. And we also realize that taxes and property taxes are formulaic and can only be increased based on growth. We also know we have a tremendous Health and Human Service Department led by Hope. Maybe she's here. Very competent and caring people. We also have found out through United Way that it takes $44 an hour for families to, a family of four to survive in Racine County with childcare needs. This creates, I think, tremendous pressure with say our minimum wage, $7.25. And we're seeing this reflected in police numbers where violent crime is significantly down and domestic abuse is up. I think the pressure of perhaps of trying to make that kind of living for a family, you're getting $15 or $20 an hour, that you're not going to make it at the end of the month. So we're asking for the courage to keep this department as whole as possible and perhaps increase its support for the community. We know that poverty is spread throughout the county. Of the 15 political entities, 7 have working poor rates higher than 25%. This touches us all. So I'm going to ask you, as you formulate the budget in the coming weeks, I understand there's a right-sized policing report coming in. Let's say that we are over-policed. We spend $13 million more than Kenosha in policing. I also know Kenosha has more people, less people, 20,000. That could be a factor. But I'm going to ask if we have the courage to allocate funds to these human needs that are so present among us, that contribute to the greatness of this community. So please, we do have you had the courage to pass the sales tax. Allocate some of those funds for this important department that touches the lives of people, helps them hold together, and helps their kids go on to graduate and to perhaps make $44 an hour rather than suffer the stress of broken families. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next up, I have Deacon Bagley.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Bob Bagley. I've been a Racine County resident for 39 years. I'm a retired City of Racine Public Health Laboratory Director. I also was the chair of the LEPC when David Mack was working for you. I'm kind of the bad guy. I'm the guy telling you where we are as a county in terms of funding for health and human services. I was here 2 weeks ago and I said that we were last in the state. We fund the county health and human services budget at 41% of the average. That's less than 50%, guys. And we have a real crisis coming. It's going to happen in 16 months. In 16 months, the federal government is going to virtually destroy what we call Medicaid. They're going to revamp it completely. And we have almost 40,000 people in the county that get Medicaid today. That's 20% of the population here. We don't have the resources to address many of the problems that those folks are going to have. We're not addressing the problems that people have today. Imagine what happens when people you know lose their Medicaid. You know, friends, relatives, people you go to church with. It's going to happen. And we're seeing this sort of thing happen with veterans funds and all kinds of other not-for-profit agencies losing their government funding. You know, it used to be that the Department of Agriculture would buy local produce and give it to food banks to sell, to give away. They stopped doing that in March. They no longer do that. So we're really thinking there's some scary things happening out there. And so we're asking that you would support it, in the budget within your limits, up to and including going back to what the average county does in the state. And we spend $161 for each resident in the county on all health and human services. And the average figure is $393. That's a big hike. But I really think if we do something about it in this budget that's significant, we will have less problems when the Medicaid crisis hits us in 2027. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's all that I have listed to speak. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right, seeing none. We'll move along to item number 5 on the agenda, the Human Services Department Budget Overview and Question and Answer Period. And I see Director Otto coming to the front there, and she has a full support of staff behind her. So welcome
Thank you.
and lead us on to this presentation.
Okay, I think John's just pulling it up. And while he's doing that, I will start by clarifying what the intent of today's presentation is. It's really an information session to help explain and understand the decision-making process we go through and the fund allocations in order to develop the budget. As most of you are aware, my budget is a little unique. Part of state statute requires a public hearing and public participation. That happened in July. At that point, we are still co-creating the budget. It's preliminary information based on projections and actual spendings from previous years. So we put the budget together, get community input. The next stage typically is the county executive presenting the budget, as you're all aware, followed by the budget defense by departments. There's been a lot of questions that have arisen as a result of the budget this year. I think some misconceptions in terms of what is being put forth, our current use of funds. So the intent isn't to come in and try to do a defense of my budget outside of the cycle, but really help to inform and educate the board on our process and our assumptions that we make, and be able to clarify any of those potential misconceptions prior to that. Because as you know, you have 3 days that you were sitting with department heads, and it's a very condensed period to be able to get into the depths of a budget as complicated as the human services. Set up. Okay, here we go. I always like starting with just setting what our mission and vision and values are. We try to align all of our decision-making processes and any programmatic changes that are aligning with what our mission and vision is for our department. This was also a co-created process with my team. And one of the things I just always want to highlight in here is the responsiveness and wanting to be able to provide trust and transparency. And again, that's one of the keys and the tenets that we take pride in as our team. I think you're going to have to do it for me, John. I apologize. This is the breakdown of the divisions by administrative area, just kind of showing the breadth and scope of the services that we have here. This has been condensed with division authority in order to have, I would say, a more cohesive alignment of services, and that we have more integrated delivery by having the like areas combined. For example, the medical examiner at one point was underneath the chief of staff and came underneath human services. And when we realized how much alignment was in public health from our overdose fatality reviews and things that could help inform best practices for our health educators, we decided to make that move under there and so forth. So I think that the organizational redesign was an intent, again, of staying true to our values and ensuring that we're as collaborative as possible and drawing down as much resources and expertise as possible. Next slide. So this is an updated plan, and I did this not again in trying to circumvent the typical process, but we'll get into more detail during the budget defense in this. But while we're still developing in the very conservative budget that we initially present, we refine and start looking at updated projection numbers and understanding better where we can help to find increased revenues, reduced expenses, looking at the entire budget as a whole of where we need to fit in order to stay aligned. So here, initially, our budget was suggesting utilization of opioid dollars. We found that the use of our reserves, given our updated projections, was a more prudent use of our funds. We also kept a conservative budgeting with a surplus in here. So the actual estimate for reserves is probably closer to the $500,000 range. But again, we're putting that in to have a more conservative budget. Next page. This is just another graphic to show I like to have visual representations to help understand where the budget is and what we're looking at from year after year. So this is again with updated numbers. Next slide. I want to take a tiny bit more time here because this is on the information and background. And I'll get a little bit more of my assumptions on the subsequent slides. But a question was asked during my public hearing and from my committee and board of where are the two areas that you are most concerned about. And in general, that answer is almost always going to be out-of-home placement costs. Those are areas where we see the highest rates. And we know that prevention and diversion, again, which I'll talk about shortly, are the ways that we need to increase the work in that area in order to combat the increased driver costs of corrections, which would be Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake, and Winnebago, which is the main mental health institution that we are able to serve our Chapter 51 patients, which are involuntary placements of mental health commitments. Next slide.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just interrupt.
Sure.
I think that last slide
Mhm.
has such a significant graph.
Mhm.
And if you could just emphasize what, no, I went,
The other way. The other one.
oh,
No. Which one?
it was what the Winnebago cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
there we go.
Okay. I just want the public and the board to know what the daily rate at Winnebago is if we need to have a citizen at that facility.
I believe the current rate is 2,200 and projected to be 28. Is that correct?
1750 up to 2200.
Okay, close. I was getting that. Yeah, 1,750 and up to 2,200.
And,
Mhm.
you know, I'm detracting from your presentation, but when you realize that Racine County emphasizes prevention of these costs, that is why we are leaders in the state. That is why, as long as I've been on this board, there has been a presentation at the annual Wisconsin Counties Association by our Human Services Department, because every other county wants to know, how do we do it? We provide, and we have statistics showing that we do the best in the state while we still have efficiency and incredibly wonderful costs for our taxpayers. And I think that's the message that is totally lost in the Green Book. And that is the message that we need to share. And I love concerns that come from the public. But if you don't know the full story, you can lead to the wrong conclusion.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your comments. The next slide, please. So one of the other things that we updated was the YDCC. Our current assumptions for our revenue were based on what we knew at the time, which included a lower census rate than what we are able to have now. We were also very concerned about the current Lincoln Hills rate and how that would influence decisions for other counties to utilize our facility. One of the things that we have found through the amazing work of Amberlynn and her team and Tony is that working with some of the partners who have challenges like Milwaukee County, they have such a population need, that irrespective of the change of the Lincoln Hills rate into the $500, they are still wanting to utilize our services. Brown County is another amazing partner, and I gave them a shout out today at WCA at the presentation for their commitment of using our facility, despite the fact that the rate has changed, because they know that this is very short-sighted, that very soon there's going to be a change back to where the Lincoln Hills rate, which is the $2,800 a day. So they've been steadfast in committing support to us. They've 4 beds on average that they have from Brown County. Milwaukee County, help me, Amber.
Right now, I think 4 and 2 are coming next week, so 6.
Yeah, so 6 in Milwaukee County. So our census is grown, and we're feeling much more confident about the future of our bed rentals, and knowing that that rate's going to change very soon. There will be a large demand for the bed space that we have. The other thing what I want to point out on the slide is that the actual operating expense, because of the revenue we generate, is estimated to reduce our overage from what was 2.75 million prior to opening the facility. Now we're looking at about 1.3 of operational expenses, which, if we are continuing to effectively divert out of our system and support more regionally, that number could actually result in a surplus for our operations. Don't want to go there yet, but that's something that we feel confident in our new numbers and where our operational expenses will lie. Next slide. This is a more hopefully simplified way to show some of the things that our team can do to control. And I don't really like the word control, because in general, we have a high degree of influence, so we live in the yellow. But there's some things that we just have a large degree of statute drives our decision-making process and the legal process. So the length of a hospital admission, that's going to be based on the clinical direction of the facility in which they are. We can help to demonstrate and show that we can help safely return the individual to our community, no matter what the placement options are. But that's just an influence. It's not necessarily, well, we can't. I'm sorry, we live in not the yellow, I said that incorrectly. And there's other things, that are driving the changes, like the IMD rates that we were talking about, medical reimbursement, the severity of an individual who's presenting. Insurance coverage, I would say that one's, again, it can be in the can and can't area. Where we can help to support through a process within our team, interdisciplinary process, where we can help to ensure that the individuals who come into our clinic have medical assistance through Kristen Ladis's area, which oversees economic support. So we can have that high level service to them. But again, whether they have insurance or not can be not in our control. Next page. All right, now this slide, I wanted to give a high level picture of that and then give into why the 2 areas that become difficult in community-based billing. So in our services, the prevention-based services we do, when we try to make assumptions of what our revenue and revenue isn't, this is why it gets a little complicated. And we use previous information in order to support this, but it's very, very, very complicated, and how we get reimbursed and how much we can expect and budget for. So I'm going to turn this over to Natalie for I'm going to say 45-second overview of this very complicated slide. Sorry, I gave you an expectation.
No, it's okay. Okay, so this is why it gets complicated. So we produce X amount of services that we give to Medicaid to say, please pay us money. What Medicaid then does is, let's say Hope and I have 2 different degrees. So first of all, they're going to pay us dependent on the services we provide. So if I'm doing a phone call versus I'm doing a complete assessment, those are 2 different rates. Then there are different rates dependent on our degrees. So if she has a master's degree and I have a high school degree, I'm going to get paid 2 different rates for that service. Plus my phone call, I'm going to get paid for 1 call per day per consumer, no matter if it's a 3-hour call or a 3-second call. I'm going to get the same amount of money. Then will we bill for people who are at our SAIL program? Again, that's per hour, not even per 15 minutes, which is what I get paid for assessments and follow-up. So we're doing all of this math then to try to figure out what we're going to get back from Medicaid. We then owe Medicaid what's called a maintenance of effort. We put that money in, we have to match that. They give us 60% of the federal rate. We get 40% of the non-federal. We have to cover 40% of the non-federal. That goes to our WIMCR and the MOE. And then we get 25% in advance on that based off the fact that we're in a consortium or a regionalization, which we do by being part of the UW Green Bay training system. So this is why the math gets so complicated. And that's just crisis. That's not even anything else.
Yeah. So I do that not to like shock and awe of this. It's just, it truly is that complicated in some of our areas to be able to predict what our expenses are. But I think we get within the margin of error and we understand in that previous slide where we can help with productivity, helping with incentives for employees. So for example, if you're hitting a 70% productivity, something we put into place a long time ago, we know then that our return on investment is extremely high. We incentivize employees and to be able to do that because we get so much more back when they're hitting that productivity measure. It doesn't happen a ton because it is challenging, but when we do it, we recognize our employees and we help to basically performance-based incentives for them. Next slide. So the overall assumption, and Chairman Miller said it, Chairman of my board, Supervisor Miller said it really well, is we have been able to do what we have done for so long because of how much we have invested into early intervention and prevention-based work. When public health came on board, and for those of you who are on the Board of Health, you know that this is sort of their mantra. It's early intervention, prevention, highest ROI. We've talked about the Heckman curve. So we're always looking at our budget through that lens and figuring out if we can shift more of our expenses. And sometimes that means employees, because employees are driving the services that are delivered. We are in human services, and literally that is how our expenses are. We know that we see those costs from institutional placements over time either stabilize because the rate keeps increasing or drop. Like for Steve Bedwell's area, it has consistently dropped because of his prevention, early intervention, and family preservation efforts. The Wellness Connect initiative, which I'm presenting in this budget, and again would be more talked about during the budget defense, is an example of that. How we're shifting to MA billing for services that were typically in an area that capped the ability to assign money. Next slide. This is just talking about what Wellness Connect is, to give an example of a no wrong door approach, because everything is very complicated in our area, and to be able to navigate this from a consumer perspective, we want to say, however you present to us, we're going to serve you, and we will do behind the scenes figuring out how to triage you into specific programs. So that's the gist of what the Wellness Connect initiative will be. Next slide. I'm going to skip past the majority of the slide. This is just showing where, again, this will be probably, this is a preview for what we'll be talking about in October, but some of the areas that we're going to be reducing costs. I have put several cuts in the budget in addition to advocacy efforts for increasing revenue, independent of where we're at in our current bed rental rates, including making up an operational deficit for females should we choose to continue with that route. Next slide. Is that it? Okay.
All right, thank you. Questions? Supervisor Shakur.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for a fine presentation, you and the staff. My question is, you don't have to answer it now, but if you can, in particular around the budget time, how much is the state having mandates on us that we have to pay for as local taxpayers?
So we have a document that Gwen Zimmer has developed for last year. I would be happy to work with her to update the slides. I don't think we've done that yet, have we? It hasn't changed probably dramatically. So that's not quite the one. There's one for the entire county, but that one, because that shows the percentage, that's a very detailed version of it. And we're working on updating that as well. But again, it'll be tweaked. They'll be roughly the same because we haven't seen much change from the state allocations from last year.
That'll be available, but
Yes. Mm-hmm. That is it. That is it.
Supervisor Horth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hope to you and the entire team, obviously an excellent job of presenting. I think my question, in part will also maybe be an offer of an opportunity, is having to do with I hear the comments that we may be underperforming or maybe undersupplying revenue opportunities in the Human Services Department in comparison to others, other counties, other municipalities, whatever. And I guess my question is, I see all of this, but trying to get into the granular component of determining whether there should be 3.5 FTEs versus 2.5 or some other number.
Mhm.
My comment is, I think it would be enormously helpful if we could have, as a part of the budget presentations going forward, some comparisons in regards to other counties that are of like size, like makeup, like circumstances, to give us the chance to be able to then say, okay, we've got a $69 million budget being presented right now for human services. That's a big number. It's up 9 million from this year, but I don't know that that should be 9 million from this year or whether it should be 15 million, because I don't know what I'm comparing this to in regards to how others are able to perform. Whereas on our end, we're, I hate to say this, and this might be a little bit of an admission, the budgeting cycle tends to follow what we've been doing.
Mhm.
And so therefore, we take a look at what we've been doing, and now we talk about what is it going to cost us to go forward?
Yeah.
And I don't know that's the right way to look at it. Maybe a white sheet of paper becomes more appropriate to determine what opportunities might exist. And frankly, maybe there are others that are doing that. But when I heard a couple of the speakers talk about how we're not performing, excuse me, not a negative side, but the amount of money that's being made available for human services might not be comparable to some of the other counties, my question is, why? And so I start to look at more the broad picture here of what is it that we should be looking at in comparison to what others are doing. And maybe that's just, again, a request of the budget committee as we're looking at this. So when we see human resources in the final run, and when we see the police department, everything else, we have a sense this now gives us an understanding of exactly what others are doing. And we can then say, well, wait a minute, why are we more or why are we less? And by the way, guys, please don't jump off the bridge. I know there's going to be, everyone's going to say, oh, well, you don't know our circumstances, or we have certain things that we have to, I get it. I'm just looking for a broad-based sense of how do I compare what our Human Resources Department has just presented in relationship to others. So with that having been said, thank you all for allowing me to pontificate a moment.
I didn't think that was pontificating. I won't even attempt to answer that right now because you guys, yeah, it would be a very long answer. And I love that suggestion, and I will take that into consideration, talk with the county exec of how to formulate a concise response in the budget time period. Just one comment I'll make to the 9 million more. The overall budget includes revenues, and the revenues are basically the YDCC revenues. So that's why you see that. So that's one of the things we operate that, others don't. So now the Green Book numbers, when it's reported, will look higher, and it's not necessarily the expenses, it's the revenues as well. And we're getting that much more. The grants that we're receiving, I mean, we have news today of probably another $400,000 worth of grants that the team wrote. So those things will all contribute to the spending to support our operations. That's the short answer. Kind of short.
Gotta go.
Supervisor
Okay.
Capillion?
Perfect, thank you. There is so much complexities in this simplistic overview that you just gave us. And I really appreciate the comments of Supervisor Miller early on. And I think it tails into where I'm going to sit with my comments, and especially to the suggestion of Supervisor Horace. You know, we all come here with diversity in how we look at issues, how we look at presentations, how we look at the budget. And we all have a hunger for certain set of information. Being that I've navigated the human services through different hats I wore, servicing the community and the work that I've done, I get a little bit of lost in here, but you know, I tend to lean on quality of service, access to service, and my hesitation and apprehension on following through with the request that Supervisor Horace said, but it's how I digest material, is money does not equal quality and does not equal results. And when you start comparing it, I think we're going to get lost in exactly the quality of service and our responsiveness to service, which I know you alluded to. That could be some of the problem, people coming at you. So here I am coming at you. But, I want to just really caution us on doing those types of comparisons. Keep in mind, where we are putting a lot of our funds in the preventative and what we have done through the history. It's not just what we have done today. There is this culture that's built around how we are servicing our community through our human services. And so our budget looks the way because we have recalibrated over the years to keep working to the cultural needs and how they have changed. So I don't mean to come at you, but if we start looking at numbers, just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Supervisor Cole.
I just got two quick questions. One is the MA billing, is that automated or do you have a lot of time and people just in the billing then?
Yes, it is not automated, and we also utilize a third-party vendor, billing management to help with some of it. And then the information that's put into billing management is fed by the fiscal team.
Okay, and then the other one, kind of bouncing off what Supervisor Horvath and Capellian were, I was raised in Winnebago County. So when you do the mental health or when you're talking about the budgeting, I get confused because like Winnebago County, when they come and talk about the Green Book, Winnebago County has a county hospital and we don't. So I get confused when we compare like Green Book and like we're here in this many counties and I look at it going, well, Winnebago County has a whole hospital at Parkview.
Oh, I get,
that-
yep, sorry.
They're
I'm
managing, so when you look at expenses, I go to like Parkview, there's a lot of people that go from like the hospital to Parkview and they wait there for a while until they get into a nursing home or a full, so it's like we have a whole hospital in Winnebago County that's being run on the human resources. So I get confused on the Green Book part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean. And that's why it is, I said I was only give a brief answer and try to figure out a way to to compare apples to apples. There won't be, okay? Because there isn't a county that's exactly like ours. They're similar and you can extract out mandated versus non-mandated and how people are responding to mandated services because everyone does it differently. So running a hospital, that's optional. Milwaukee County runs a behavioral health hospital as well. That's an optional thing. Nursing homes, it's optional, but it can help with the overall needs in the community and it can be deemed by the board, county executive and others that that's a vital service for their community. So you're right, it's complicated and to be able to give a simple answer now it wouldn't, but it is, yes, very difficult to compare.
Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just feel a strong need to reiterate that we cannot just look at numbers. We have to look at results. And this Human Service Department has a culture of collaboration, cross-training, innovation that has led to fantastic results. As I said before, other counties are always asking us, how do we do it? And we're not denying services to our people. We're giving them fantastic services that are even nationally known. And you've done things at the national level as well. So, I'm all for a proper appropriation, but for example, we were one of the first counties to work with law enforcement and NAMI so officers can sense when there's a mental health issue versus a crime issue. And that leads to people getting services before they need more expensive services. So I'm so proud of our department. And I think we need to tell that story because the numbers are not the full story. And we have a lot of good results.
Any other questions? Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. A question, you had a slide that had the 2024 versus 2026 overages.
Yeah.
What exactly did that depict again?
That is the amount that we were on the levy operating our former facility, where our expenses at that point, oh, I used to have these like this. I think it was about 3.1 million of operating expense, and then out of county revenue, which was coming primarily from Kenosha at that point with our lower rate in our existing facility. And the operational deficit at that point was about 2.5 million. Now, because of the higher rates and the ability to generate more revenue, our expected deficit is 1.3 million, but the operating budget is 8.3. Yes.
Thank you. What is the occupancy in the YDCC right now?
18 out of county? Come on up. I knew, I was thinking that was gonna be asked.
So we have 30 youth today, but 16 are Rise Up out of county right now, and we have 2 coming next week, so we'll have a total of 18. And we have 1 Aspire girl, but she's actually leaving Friday.
Well, that sounds excellent. I believe when we met last, this came up in HHS, we were at 6, so that's a pretty big improvement. So I would like to give you accolades for that
Been working
particular
hard.
item.
Thank you. And we actually have, just to, pat ourselves in the back one more time, we have like, sorry, we have like 7 more referrals that are approved. We're really just waiting for those kids from out of county to be accepted through their court system and then sent to us. So we should be at capacity fairly soon.
But we still want money from the state.
Yeah.
So just saying, because there's ebbs and flows of this, so I don't want that to be like, it's all, seashells and balloons. We want to make sure, thank you. We want to make sure that we have the support from the state to weather some of those downturns.
Thank you. And I would like to say also echo some of the sentiments by Supervisor Cole and Supervisor Horath. There's other comparisons that can be made here, although, and again, I do agree with Supervisor Miller that it's not always a direct comparison. It's not always apples to apples, but we do have to note the differences where we do not operate certain facilities that are in other counties that do increase the spend. I would also like to point out that we do have what appears not to be covered in the Green Book when it comes to capital spend with the YDCC capital spending that we've just seen, and then also the behavioral health facility. We are investing in behavioral health, and it doesn't necessarily track to the Green Book. So I would like to make that point. Last point I'd like to make, and why I think let me take a step back. I do think that we have an excellent department here. That's not a question, but it's a matter of we're just limited by what we can spend right now. This body met and talked about what our wants and needs were for the upcoming budget and the listening session. And one of the most prominent ones, and I don't mean to get off track, I'm just going to touch on this, was a highway. And I get concerned about spending in other departments right now because, the difference from the median was talked about by one of the speakers as we're 46% of the median. We have a department that's 26% of the median. And it's not necessarily that I don't think that this department deserves as much money as we can give it, but we've got a lot of other concerns. So I would advise caution when looking at increasing spending without seeing the full picture of what we have to deal with here. That's it. Thank you.
Just a quick clarifying question, Obed, is that percentage reflective of the updated changes, or was that the previous budget? The 26%, do you know?
This is, it's updated now.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Hope, for your presentation. Thank you, staff, for coming along and support. And I know you're gonna continue to make hamburger into steak as you've been doing in the years, just to continue to keep going forward and finding those solutions to continue to give our residents the care that they need and work on the dimes that we have. So thank you. Item number 6, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, which is automatically waived unless requested by the majority of the members present. Seeing none. Item number 7, resolutions and ordinances referred to committees.
There are none.
Item number 8, introduction of resolutions and ordinances for first reading and referral.
Resolution number 2025-36 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing a multi-year contract with Midwest Fiber Networks for the dark fiber to be installed between the new behavioral health building and the Dennis Cornwolf Service Center for the total of $5,500. Resolution number 2025-37 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing a multi-year contract with MC Dean for services and maintenance of the uninterruptible power systems UPS at various county locations for a total of $74,796. Resolution number 2025-38 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing a multi-year contract with Johnson Controls Security Solutions LLC for maintenance of fire and burglar alarm systems at the Robert Roner Law Enforcement Training Center for the total of $6,992. Resolution number 2025-39 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the property damage claim of Alyssa Clausen. Resolution number 2025-40 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the property damage claim of Don Herring. And resolution number 2025-41 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the property damage claim of Tim Boudet.
All right, thank you. Item number 9, communications and claims.
Number 1 is the dog listing letters from the villages of Wind Point, North Bay, Elmwood Park, and Union Grove, and the towns of Norway and Dover, and the cities of Racine and Burlington.
Item number 1 is received and filed in the county clerk's office.
Number 2, letter regarding the Emerald Park Landfill LLC proposed Western Expansion Feasibility Report, addendum number 3 from Tetra Tech.
Item number 2 is referred to the Economic Development and Land Use Planning Committee.
Item number 3 is a legal claim, and items 4 through 21 are notifications from the United States Bankruptcy Court.
Items number 3 through 21 are referred to the Finance and Human Resource Committee and Corp Council.
Any requests for copies?
Supervisor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request item number 2, please.
Supervisor Pritzker,
Mr. Chairman, 1 and 3, please.
Supervisor Spencer,
Thank you. 1 and 2, please.
Supervisor McReynolds,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Copy of number 2, please.
Supervisor Rossi,
Thank you, Chairman, 2.
Supervisor Coleman. Melina Coleman,
Say 3. Thank you.
Supervisor Varant,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Copies of 1 and 2, please.
Supervisor Hoffman,
Copies of 2 and 3, please.
Supervisor Troutier,
Supervisor Troutier. Number 3, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Miller.
number 2 and 3.
Any other requests?
Mr. Chair,
Supervisor Wishaw,
thank you, sir. Copies of 1 and 2, please.
all right, anyone else? Okay. Item number 10, communication from the county executive.
There are none.
Item number 11, standing committee reports containing recommendations on items referred.
There are none.
Item number 12, second reading of resolutions and ordinances.
Resolution number 2025-35 by Health and Human Development Committee in support of State Investment for Income Maintenance Administration.
Second.
Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I could add to the accolades I gave our Human Services Department previously tonight by saying proactive. This is a resolution. We know that changes are occurring in federal and state costs for federal programs such as food share. This is a proactive message to request that if changes occur in funding formulas, the state of Wisconsin will use its resources to help with administrative costs so we can continue to serve our people.
Any other questions? Comments? This is a voice majority vote. It's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, item number
Mr. Chairman, point of order, although we did not have a roll call vote, could I ask for unanimous consent that the minutes will reflect that the resolution was approved unanimously?
I would concur. Thank you. We'll make it so. Item number 13, reconsideration of resolutions and ordinances from previous meetings and or action on vetoes.
There are none.
Item number 14, reconsideration of and or notice of intent to reconsider resolutions and or ordinances.
There are none.
Item number 15, informational reports.
Report number 2025-38 by Finance and Human Resources Committee submitting the Racine County 2025 bi-monthly large capital projects report. And report number 2025-39 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the settlement of the claim of Douglas Swanson.
All right, item number 16, miscellaneous business announcements and oral reports. Supervisor Shakur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just backing up a bit, I've said it many times and I'll say it again here tonight, is that our Human Service Department and what the county does with human services is number one to above all. And as expressed by Supervisor Miller, and I just want to say again that, and I say it without any apologies, that I believe the Human Service Committee is the best committee for the county.
Thank you. Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. If everyone would look on their desk, I'm sure you're seeing these purple and black and white pieces of paper, and this is about the Women's Resource Center walk to break the silence. I'm the treasurer of the organization. That's why I'm bringing this to you. This walk is an annual event that started, I believe, 4 years ago now. It seems like it's been longer, but it's to generate awareness to domestic violence and the resources available for victims or survivors of domestic violence. It's a 2-hour event. It starts out with, we do some speeches. We have Executive Maliki lined up to come to the event, and then also some others. And there will be a survivor speaking as well. We have a food truck, some other vendors, I believe it's going to be at this one. Don't quote me on that one. They were last year, and I expected them to be this time. But a lot of the synergistic organizations throughout Racine County. And Women's Resource Center, just so you know, is the only domestic violence shelter in Racine County, and for a period of time, also Kenosha County. These people are the boots on the ground. There's about 26 employees right now that work in the facility. They provide case management, they provide support, they provide housing, and that's obviously as a shelter, that's the primary function. 36 beds, we're expanding now to approximately 50 beds. As of last week, every bed was full. If anyone was listening to the city reports, you heard last week that the city domestic violence occurrences have increased drastically since last year. Homicides are up. These are not good things for the residents of this county. And I think it would be great to get as many of you as possible at this event showing your support. It means a lot, not just to the survivors, but the staff. And of course, the community looks to us when they see us at these events. It generates a lot of awareness. That's it.
Mr. Chairman, if I could follow up, and I want to thank Supervisor Rossi for his involvement in this important organization. You see at the bottom of one of the flyers, Women's Resource Center and Bethany Apartments. They are together now, but I just wanted to note that yesterday was the funeral of Sister Evelyn Linz of Racine Dominican. Sister Evelyn was instrumental in starting Bethany Apartments. It was a Racine Dominican ministry for many years, but it was the only place for people who were victims of abuse to go.
Thank you. And just one other note, on behalf of Chairman Kramer and myself, too, just a reminder for County Board that our next meeting will be October 7th, not the normal second Tuesday of the month because of the budget cycle. So just keep that on your calendar as well.
Mr. Chair.
And Supervisor Wishaw.
Thank you, sir. Just a reminder about Sunday in Burlington, the Underground Railroad dedication takes place. I'll ask the clerk to send out a reminder email again later this week.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Shakur.
No.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Capillion, I didn't see your mic.
It's so quick. I just want to remind Government Services, we are actually going to have a meeting. We had some actionable items. So remember the first Thursday of the month, 5 o'clock.
Supervisor Shakur? All right.